Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the CJRB Cutlery Rhea. That's right, I got the Rhea and I'm happy about it for a change. So first off though, I want to thank very much Artisan Cutlery for sending this guy along. That's right, they reached out to me, said, hey Nick, we got a new knife, we think it's good, it's got a new steel, we think it's good. I said, okay, send it to me, I'll be the judge of that. In reality, they know I'm going to talk about, I sent them my full disclaimer on my website. They told them I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. Might be a gem, might be junk. They still sent it along. Nonetheless, we do have to assume this is the very best CJRB Rhea ever in terms of quality control, and I have to assume that I'm not letting that affect the nature and quality of my review. Next thing, let's do some size comparison. Here it is against the Ontario Rat number 2 in D2 steel. And we see here that in terms of blade shape and length, we're actually very, very similar here, even though the size is a little bit smaller than the Rat 2. Here it is against the Spyderco Delica, a little bit more sharp in blade length. Here it is against the Ontario Spyderco PM2. Wow. That's what you get if you move a PM2 to Ontario, right? The Spyderco PM2. And then finally, I'll go ahead and do a comparison against another CJRB. In fact, my other favorite CJRB, that would be the Centros here. When we see this is a sizably smaller knife. Sizably smaller. I think everything smaller is sizably so, right, because it's about... Anyways, I digress. And then finally, one quick note. This guy is actually using an upgraded clip here. This titanium clip here is not what it comes with by the default. Instead, what it usually comes with is something more akin to this, where it is a bent metal polished clip. You know, nothing super interesting. It feels like every clip that you've ever seen on every knife from China ever. This upgraded version is one that you can buy directly from Artisan's website there, and you're looking at about $15 for that, and the knife itself is running about $55 from resellers. So let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of this very interesting little knife right here. Start with, I do like the upgraded clip. It is a step up, right? You know, having tried both, although I don't actually know where the other one is at the moment, this is definitely a step up, and honestly, it makes the whole thing look a little classier, right? One of the problems with this, you know, standard Chinese issue bent clip is just that it doesn't look that interesting, right? It looks kind of cheapy. This makes the knife, I think it really ties the room together, man. So I very much, I like that, and I appreciate that very much. Next thing, the blade on this thing is very nice. What we see here is a very reasonably done blade here, although the stock is maybe a little thicker than you might expect at this size, although actually I'm not even going to go ahead and say that. It's relatively thin. But what we see here is it comes down to a nice thin edge down at the side there, as a nice grind and a nice shape, and then the steel on this guy is AR-RPM 9. So you might be thinking, Nick, I've never heard of that steel. That's right. This is one of the very first knives to feature it. This is a brand new proprietary steel alloy from Artisan Cutlery, right? It is a steel which, in my basic testing, appears to be pretty much in that good to go for everyday carry category, right? In fact, a buddy of mine, Mike Emler, who has a smaller knife coming out from them here shortly, a little fixed blade guy, has been very impressed with it, and he is a person who knows, knows stuff about steel, is a professional sharpener and whatnot. In honesty, it is, if you look at the chemical composition, which Artisan has released since my original review of this, which I'm now refilming, it is 9CR18 MOV steel, but it's done using a powder metallurgy process, where basically you can read, actually you should read Knife Engineering by Larry Thomas to get a better sense of what exactly that means. But basically what that means is you're going to have slightly smaller carbides, and that's going to make for a slightly nicer edge. It will be an improvement over 9CR18 MOV in general, but and that's not a terrible steel to start with. So what's interesting about this is the powder metallurgy element, but the steel itself is not, oh my god, innovative. It's good to go. It's not going to blow your mind either. But overall, I got to say, with a blade like this that's reasonably thin with a nice thin edge, it's going to work just fine. And at the price, okay, no problem. Next thing, the micarta on this looks fine. It's a fine little micarta here, and it'll look a little bit better as it wears in, as it gets a little bit more. I think this is absolutely a very nice little budget sort of look. And, you know, the micarta classes the thing up a little bit. It looks a little nicer than sort of your conventional pattern G10 that CJRB is wont to do. So I appreciate that very much, especially alongside these polished liners, which again I think really do tie the room together a little bit, as well as our hidden lanyard hole in here, which is something I am definitely a big fan of. Lanyard holes, the best thing a lanyard hole can be is hidden, right? And it is far enough away that provided you're using a relatively thin cord, it shouldn't contact the blade edge, and if it does, well, hey, you shouldn't have used the lanyard anyways. Sorry, it's bias right there. But anyways, there you go. Next thing, action on this is good to go. No wrist at all. Boom, deployed. No problems. This fires out like nobody's freaking business. I appreciate that very much. Next thing, the price on this guy is reasonable. I guess it's the Rhea. We're looking at $55 directly from resellers, and then $15 more to order a clip directly from Artisan. I think that's a perfectly fine sort of thing. For the micarta for a powder metallurgy steel, okay, sure, why not, right? And there ain't really all that much in this kind of size range that is particularly interesting. I think that there's that. And then next thing, and final thing on the good side, is the versatility of this guy is up there. I mean, honestly, I feel like this is a knife that bridges the gap very well between sort of a generalized everyday carry knife as well as something that could be a little bit more fancier, right? A little bit higher, classy sort of thing. This is as home in a suit pocket as in your jeans. Oh my God, I'm a fashion blogger. But nonetheless, it is a very nice design, and it offers a relatively inexpensive piece that is going to be pretty damn versatile. That's going to look pretty nice. And is in the same size range, actually, as a knife that is much, much more expensive. This is the Chris Reeve Knives Mnundi. And in a lot of ways, this feels sort of like a very budget-friendly Mnundi, right? There were a million differences here. I don't want to imply that they're the same thing, but they're kind of filling a same niche, and I think that's great. And so I think this is one of CJRB's more elegant designs, one of the ones that's going to have a little bit more mainstream appeal, so to speak. And I think, given everything, this is going to be a really nice choice for a lot of people. So to me, that's what's good here is the versatility is good. The price is quite good. The micarta, well, I'd say the price is reasonable. It's got excellent action. The micarta is looking good. It's got the nice blade with the fancy new powder metallurgy 9CR18, and the upgraded clip is definitely a step up. On the great side, this carries like a dream. This has, between this very nice titanium clip, which has the proper amount of flexion that you'd want there, it has a very nice size. I mean, this guy comes in a very, very small. I mean, compare this to the Delica. It is about the same size overall, but the profile is very slim. And in fact, the knife itself is very slim, even though it is relatively rounded, which makes for a pretty good ergonomic experience. It absolutely carries quite small, and it's very smooth. It's very nice. This is a knife that I really do enjoy carrying. I've ended up, because I got this guy, and then I sent it off for review, Metal Complex, and sent it off for review. I loaned it over to Metal Complex and sent it to my buddy Connor to hang out with for a bit. When I got it back, I was like, yeah, this is good. It is just great in the pocket. 100%. This just carries like a freaking dream. So, to me, at least, that's what's great, is this just carries so damn well, and I appreciate that very much. On the bad side, to start with, I really do think this clip is a major improvement, but it's kind of a pain in the neck to get, right? If you want to buy from Artisan directly, you have to, the clip itself is $15 there. And if you try to buy the knife at the same time, they're charging you the MSRP, which is, I think, $75 there. And so, honestly, I don't particularly care for that. I don't think any knife should ever be sold at MSRP. And if MSRP isn't the real price for the knife, then damn it, just use one real price, okay? I'm done with this whole map. I'm done with it. No. Anyway, so it's a little bit of a pain in the neck to get. But I really kind of wish that they just made them all this way, right? Even if it were, I guess that you can get a little bit more value by going. But I don't know. It's better enough with the clip that I think it's a pain that it's not made that way. I mean, you could make a whole nother SKU and sell that to distributors too. You could do a combo pack. You could call the clip, give it a name. Call the clip the Dia, then you get the diarrhea combo. Never mind. I digress. But anyways, I'd like to see the clip made a little bit easier. Next thing, the blade writing definitely takes the classy down a little bit of a notch. I mean, CJRB is a fine name, and their logo is definitely better than the Artisan one. That's for damn sure. Not quite as suggestive, if you will. But nonetheless, I could definitely use to see this shrunken way down or disappeared. Just put it along the top or something like that. This feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity in terms of fancification. Next thing, this guy is unfortunately not quite centered. It's not terrible, but it's not quite there. For $55, but still, I think they can do a little better than that. And finally, this is a little bit on the lefty unfriendly side. There is really not a great way to flick this guy out as a lefty. You can see here the thumb study is one-sided and really kind of recessed in there. It's great for righties, but if you are of the sinister persuasion, this isn't going to be super compelling. Same thing, the clip doesn't flip either. So to me, all that is the bad here is that it's a little lefty unfriendly. It is not quite centered. The blade writing is taking the classy down a notch, and buying the clip is a bit of a pain in the neck, and the clip, I think, really does add something to it. Nothing on the ugly front now that they've released the specifications for the steel, so let's go to the final conclusion, which is that, honestly, this is good. It's a really good budget-flavored knife, right? Budget-flavored. Is that a flavor? It tastes like compromise. Actually, this one really doesn't. That wasn't intentional, but it worked as a segue, right? This feels quite good. It feels like, yeah, sure, it's a less expensive knife, but it doesn't taste like compromise particularly. It's got nice things like a nice clip, a nice blade, nice micarta, some versatility, a decent price, and just very, very easy carry. And the design on it actually feels designed. Some of the stuff that comes out, especially from these companies that will drop 15 new models a week, don't really feel like they're very forgettable, whereas this really has it's got its own little thing. This stands on its own. I think the rear here is actually a substantially nice little piece here. And so I definitely appreciate it very much, and although it's certainly a budget knife, and it's certainly, no one's going to mistake it for the Nundi or anything like that, at the same time, it's still pretty damn solid. Mind you, getting the clip isn't so straightforward. The blade writing isn't great. The centering wasn't quite there, and it's not lefty-friendly, but I really do like this piece. Like I said, it bridges that gap between something that could be a classy folder, and especially, this is also a very good host for rescaling. If you want to get a second set of scales on this, I'm sure somebody's going to be making them out there, and if this model sticks around, which it really should, I hope to see people doing, like, wood on this. I hope to see people doing other kinds of things. Because I think this offers a really nice just design that kind of bridges the gap between classy and generalist. It's got an excellent blade with a steel that is absolutely good to go. It's got a size that's super easy to carry. It's all for a price that's pretty palatable for anybody. Honestly, I feel like this earns the title of gem for me. This is a good knife. This is one of, frankly, the better budget knives that's come about here in the 2020. Alongside the Centros, which is here, this is probably my favorite piece out of Artisan. I think yes, out of Artisan or CJRB. They're the same company, but I think CJRB is killing it lately, right? And it's a good thing in my parlance. But anyways, it's a nice option for folks who want something a little bit smaller. They want something versatile, something classy, and something carryable. And honestly, I more than anything else, this knife is a really good piece of evidence that getting the RIA isn't always necessarily a bad thing. So anyways, there you go. I hope this has been interesting to you, that I have resolved any of your questions about this matter. And if you'd like to leave a response down in the comments below, I will read it later. Ooh, that one didn't work. And have yourselves just an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Rest of your day. Okay, bye now.